Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and little ones. Bienvenue, mesdames et messieurs, et les enfants. I'm Graham Marlette. Some of you know me as the old home guy because I live in a really old home. This is the Mason-Umstead house. Built in 1895, so it's 120 years old, and that's why we're here today, to celebrate its birthday. Mr. Mason built this home and then 15 years later sold it to the Umstead family. They had 3 daughters who grew up here. In the 1990s, the sisters, who were in their 90s, came by for a visit and regaled us with stories of their youth. My history in Durham actually began in Chapel Hill. 35 years ago, I was visiting my brother Wade over the Christmas holiday at his apartment over there and was about to fly back to New York where I lived and worked when we saw this beautiful old home advertised in the Durham Morning Herald. The price was astoundingly low, so we plowed through the snow to see it. Took an hour to get to Duke Park from Chapel Hill. Yes, it was beautiful on the exterior, but I recall Wade saying, "You know, that snow could be hiding a multitude of sins." He was right. There had been a tragic fire, and here's what the interior looked like. Burned wallpaper, woodwork was damaged. So I returned to my apartment in Manhattan and left Wade to negotiate the sale, which he successfully did. Our mom then moved up from Florida, and they both camped out, as I recall, and they went to work on the renovation of this 6,000 square foot house. Fast forward to 2004. The Junior League of Durham and Orange counties gave Wade a call and asked if he would be interested in doing a designer showcase home tour in which different interior decorators would come in. They would kind of do their own thing in the style that they were well known for. Each one would redo a room in the house. Of course, this took several months and Wade had to move out of the house. Well, there are Junior League women. Then the home would be open to the public, who paid to tour the house with proceeds going to charity. Here are some of the scenes of the opening party. Of course, it was months after the project began. There are people by the pool. There are a few by Wade has a pond. And there's Keenan Borden telling a joke to Marjorie Miller. I hope they're not making fun of the house. So when it was all over, there's Brother Wade relaxing in his favorite room, the library. Took a lot out of him. So the next year, Wade called upon a dear friend from college days, David Matthews, who had become a professional mural artist with commissions from banks, bank lobbies, to country clubs, private homes in Atlanta, and he designed and executed murals for them. Wade decided to get this downstairs room depicting the history of Western civilization. And there's David, and there's his son Ben. Ben is working on a Japanese temple, and it is a beautiful mural. Now, let's turn the clock back to 1985, when I was visiting again. This was spring vacation, and my friend Eugene Brown called and said I should take a look at a house on the same block as Wade's, now known as Little Mangum, and there's 1408. This was a neglected Duke student rental house, read party house, owned by an absentee landlady and priced to sell. So I took the plunge. My partner Larry Williams and I moved in and began what was a major renovation. After 2 years, we had it looking good, and I was planning to sell it. Just about that same time, I got a call from Bonnie Hood, Eugene's sister, who was also a real estate broker, and she said she had the home of my dreams. Another neglected rental property, also on North Mangum, this time on Big Mangum, and That turned out to be the right house, the Mason-Umstead house. This is the birthday house we celebrate today, looking a little different 30 years on. So, we sold the Swindell house, now home to Nancy Nye and Tom Holmes and their kids, and with the proceeds bought this project. So by now the business of buying and selling older homes in the neighborhoods around Duke really became real for me and a career. So, starting right across the street and fanning out into neighborhood blocks and even into some other neighborhoods, let's take a tour of some of my listing and sales over the years. Across the street, 1111 North Mangum. Remember, I'm 1112, and this is a beautiful American four-square style called the Maynard Mangum House, and it's from 1910. Magnificent example featuring pocket doors, coffered ceilings, and the front porch is larger than most houses. Then we come back to my part of Lynch, East Lynch, and this is 113. It was restored by Rosalie Haynes Horton around 1995. And across from her is 112 East Lynch, another four-square, just recently painted a beautiful brown with blue trim. Looks great. Cross North Mangum, and we see an adorable bungalow at 107 West Lynch. 112 West Lynch is likely the oldest home in the neighborhood. Has a great front porch. 116 West Lynch is a lovely bungalow with a pyramidal roof, a little different. Across the street is a big boy. This is a large bungalow with 2 stories. That dormer you see likely was used as a sewing room in the old days. Lots of light for the seamstress. 118 West Lynch is a modified brick bungalow with 2 sewing rooms, if it's got 2 dormers maybe. Wanted to say a word about the bungalow style. It's not a small house, as some people say. We actually have bungalows that are 3,000 square feet. And like so many things in American culture, this home design began in California and moved east. If you remember the Hollywood bungalow like Joan Crawford's in the film Mildred Pierce before she made all her money and moved up, but not all of them are small. Then we have 1212 Glendale. This is a house I have sold 4 times, and 2 weeks ago I was trying for 5. That didn't work out. The 200 block of Monmouth is so charming that people don't move unless they absolutely get transferred or have to. And it's so charming that the largest house, I guess, is 215. You see this brick, which is a large, unique mix of different styles. So likely an architect did some borrowing, did a beautiful job on it. The owner of that house actually traded houses with a homeowner on that block who was living in her old house where she raised her children, and she decided to move back. Look at this beautiful house. This is 2 front gables, and it has the unique high-pitched roof. It makes 219 Monmouth really unique. Judy Smith bought that from me almost 30 years ago. And across the street we have another take on that style, this time in brick with wood trim. Then on the corner of Monmouth and North, look at that guy. You might think you're in New Orleans. Beautiful home with lavender tile bath. 307 Monmouth is a brick Tudor with that massive brick chimney. Gorgeous, gorgeous house, big backyard. Here across the street is a farmhouse style. 228 Monmouth is another take on the eclectic bungalow. Lots of different style points. 228, I believe this is Mary Ann McDonald's house, the one who traded to occupy her original house. I'm not sure of the number. Here we have a modest house on the 300 block of Monmouth. This is a post-war cottage. It's a fine, smaller house. They were doing basic housing after World War II. So staying in Old North Durham. The 100 block of West Seaman Street is called Bungalow Row. Look at that one. This is a gorgeous example of an Oriental-style bungalow, low-slung, loaded with period features, very elaborate and highly desirable. 122 East Seaman. Yeah, this goes across Roxborough to East Seaman. This was another neglected student rental, Duke Party House, I purchased from another absentee landlord. Here is what it looks like today, and it's the home of our co-hosts, Dino and Bradley. Go down Mangum, take a right on Broadway, and this is likely the oldest home on my list. It now houses the law office of Sharon Thompson. Here is a one-off front gable, side gable beauty on Big Mangum, belonging to my friend and colleague Tim Hawk. He has rehabbed this one and enhanced several older homes here in Old North Durham, including this guy at 1403, a once neglected rental house. He had to put it up on railings to start it from the ground up. And boy, is it a wow. This is a beautiful home he recently sold to a doctor at Duke. Okay, let's go north to Duke Park, to this beautiful, imposing Mediterranean style on a large lot right by the park on Little Mangum. And across the street from it is a Tudor brick style charmer, small house. I've sold this one 5 times. Then we have 2 beautiful old homes on North Roxborough, built in the mid-20s, but completely different styles. That fabulous Georgian is the Laura Duke estate, and the rambling brick Tudor is all one story, but it's a big house with various Tudor variation style points. Everyone loves the old Watts Hospital neighborhood, and this elaborate 4-square has been completely renovated by the owner, who is an architect. Moorhead Hill is home to several noteworthy mansions, and this one, Judge Fouchy's old home, is now Camelot Academy and has been for over 25 years. It's a tutoring school. Then we look at a really unique Art Nouveau. This beautiful home on Moorhead Avenue, which I sold to a doctor who never moved in. He called and said, "Dr. Kavanaugh, do you think you can sell it for me? The kitchen's too small." And finally, our old home tour ends with one of the most unique and charming houses in all of Forest Hills. Let me tell you, a neighborhood that's got many beautiful homes. This is the Allen Gilbert House, constructed in 1928 when Dr. Gilbert, a prominent English professor at Duke, hired an architect. And I've got a picture of him ordering the bulldozers, 1928 bulldozers, around as they were preparing the lot, so he could have his Swiss chalet. It has a great room with a 25-foot ceiling that has to be seen to be believed. So now we return to Old North Durham and the birthday house, which beckons us to look inside.